Hello students, welcome to English grammar class. Our today's lesson is transitive verb and intransitive verb. I hope you have a good idea of verb and of an object. So there are two sets of sentences in column A and column B. Now look at the sentences first in column A, and after that you will see the sentences in B. So first look at the sentences in the column A. Number 1, he opened the door. Number 2, we drink water. Number 3, I ate bread and butter. Number 4, she helped a beggar. Number 5, he has won the race. Now in all these 5 sentences you can see that in each of the sentences there are 3 things. First, a subject, a verb and an object. So in the first sentence the object is the door. In the second sentence the object is water. In the third sentence the object is bread and butter. And number 4, a beggar is in object in sentence 4 and the race is an object in sentence 5. So, and opened, drink, ate, helped, won, all these are verbs. So what is a transitive verb? A verb is a transitive if it takes an object after it. What did I say? A verb is a transitive verb when it takes an object after it, or you can say when there is an object in a sentence, when there is an object in a sentence, the verb will be transitive. In another way we will say that a transitive verb denotes an action which passes over to an object. Transitive verb is a verb which denotes an action and the effect of the action is on an object. For example, he opened the door. The action opening has its effect on the door. Similarly, the action of drink has its effect on water. That is to say that when the action of verbs passes over to an object, the verb will be transitive. Yeah, in a very simple way, a transitive verb is a verb which takes an object. So opened is a transitive verb, drink is a transitive verb, ate is a transitive verb. Open is a transitive verb because there is an object, the door, after opened. Water is an object after verb drink. Bread and butter is an object after ate. So these verbs are transitive verb. I hope you have got well. Now look at the sentences in the column B. Number 1, birds fly in the sky. Number 2, the child weeps. Number 3, he tried repeatedly. Number 4, the sun has risen. Number 5, he fell on the road. Now look at the first sentence. Birds fly. Here there is no object. In the first sentence there is no object. In the second sentence also there is no object. Similarly in the third sentence and the fourth sentence and the fifth sentence there are no objects. So when there is no object, in a sentence, then the verb will be intransitive. So what is an intransitive verb? An intransitive verb is a verb which does not take an object after it. An intransitive verb is a verb which does not take an object after it. In another way, we will say an intransitive verb does not take an object after it. It is complete. The intransitive verb denotes an action which does not pass over to an object. Birds fly, but it has flying is an action, but it has there is no object to have its effect. There is no object to have its effect. The child weeps. The child is subject, weeps is verb, there is no object. Similarly, the sun is subject, risen is verb, there is no object. So without an object, the verb will be intransitive. So this is about transitive verb and intransitive verb. So ultimately, what did we see? A transitive verb is a verb which takes an object after it. An intransitive verb is a verb which does not take an object after it. So the presence of object will make the presence of an object will make the verb transitive, and the absence of an object will make the verb intransitive. We come more. Now let's move on. Generally, transitive verbs take the use of a single object. Transitive verbs take the use of a single object. Now look at these sentences here. In these sentences, you will see that transitive verbs take the use of two objects. In each of the sentences, you will find there are two objects after transitive verbs. For example, he told me a story. Told is a transitive verb, and here there are two objects, me and a story. In sentence number 2, the teacher asked him a question. Asked is a transitive verb. Him and a question are two objects. And similarly, in the third, fourth and fifth sentences, us, light and heat, old man and a seat, her child and a cake. These are two objects. Okay? Now, in these sentences there are two objects. Now one of them is an indirect object and another is direct object. In these sentences there are two objects. One is indirect object and the other is direct object. So which is indirect object? Yeah, what is an indirect object? An indirect object denotes the person to whom something is given. To whom something is given or for whom something is done. मतलब इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट क्या होता है? इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट में वो एक पर्सन होता है जिसके लिए जिसको कुछ दिया जाता है या जिसके लिए कोई काम किया जाता है, तो उसे हम इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट कहते हैं. ओके, indirect object. Now an indirect object takes preposition to and for before it. Indirect object से पहले to और for preposition का इस्तेमाल होता है. अच्छा, दूसरी बात है direct object. What is a direct object? A direct object is usually the name of something. Direct object is something. यहाँ पर person होता है, यहाँ पर something होता है. And you can find out a direct object in a sentence by asking the question what and whom. For example, he told me a story. He told me a story. If you ask a question, what did he tell? A story. It is a direct object. Similarly, the teacher asked him a question. Whom did? Or what did the teacher ask him? What did the teacher ask him? The answer is a question. So a question is a direct object. So you can find out direct object in a sentence by asking the question with what and whom. Now in this so you have understood what is an indirect object and a direct object. Now I am now what will be the sentence structure of this sentence? He, subject, told, transitive verb, plus me. Me is indirect object. Plus a story, direct object. So the sentence structure of all these 5 sentences will be like subject plus transitive verb plus indirect object plus direct object. So he, subject, told, transitive verb, me, indirect object, a story, direct object. The teacher, subject, asked, transitive verb, him, indirect object, a question, direct object. So in this way you can find indirect object and direct object. Okay, now you can change the structure of this sentence structure, change this sentence structure in another way. For example, you can write here the sentence structure in this way: subject plus transitive verb plus direct object. Preposition. Subject plus subject plus transitive verb plus indirect object. Indirect object. In these 5 sentences, for these 5 sentences, the sentence structure is like this: subject plus transitive verb plus indirect object plus direct object. Now I am giving you another sentence structure, and I will change the sentences in this sentence structure. Here the sentence structure is subject plus transitive verb. In place of indirect object, I have written direct object plus preposition, and in place of direct object I have written indirect object. Now see how I am changing this sentence structure into this sentence structure. He, subject, he plus transitive verb to he told, transitive verb. Now direct object, a story. ठीक है? He told a story. He told a story plus preposition. Preposition will be here to. plus indirect object me. So he told me a story. You can convert this sentence into this sentence. He told a story to me. Now here he subject, told transitive verb, a story, direct object, to preposition, and me indirect object. Similarly, the teacher asked him a question. The teacher asked a question to him. The teacher asked a question to him. So the teacher is subject, asked transitive verb, direct object a question, preposition to, indirect object him. Similarly, you can write, for example, sentence number 5. She promised a cake. She promised a cake for her child. She promised a cake for her child. So here preposition is to, preposition is to, preposition is for. So what do we see? When you convert this sentence structure into this sentence structure, the indirect object will come at the end of the sentence, and before indirect object there will be preposition to and or for. So he told me a story. You can write this sentence like this: he told a story to me. The teacher asked him a question. The teacher asked a question to me. Similarly, the sun gives us light and heat. The sun gives light and heat to us. I offered the old man a seat. I offered a seat to the old man. रिमेंबर, याद रखिए, जब इस तरह से आप सेंटेंस को कन्वर्ट कीजिएगा तो इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट से पहले टू या फॉर आएगा, या ऐसा समझिए कि टू और फॉर प्रीपोजिशन के बाद जो ऑब्जेक्ट होगा वो इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट होगा. इसको आप समझ लीजिए. जब इस तरह से सेंटेंस कन्वर्ट कीजिएगा तो कन्वर्ट करने के बाद प्रीपोजिशन के बाद जो ऑब्जेक्ट आएगा वो होगा इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. और इस तरह से अगर सेंटेंस रहेगा तो इसमें जो पर्सन होगा, जैसे मी, हिम, यू, हर, दे, ये होगा इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. आज उसके बाद जो थिंग होगा, जैसे यहाँ पर स्टोरी है, क्वेश्चन है, वो होगा डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. फिर समझ लीजिए, इनडायरेक्ट इस सेंटेंस को जब इस तरह से कन्वर्ट करेंगे तो प्रीपोजिशन के बाद जो ऑब्जेक्ट आएगा, याद रखिए प्रीपोजिशन के बाद जो ऑब्जेक्ट आएगा वो होगा इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. ठीक है. और इस तरह से जब सेंटेंस रहेगा तो जो पर्सन रहेगा वो होगा इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट और ये होगा डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. तो ये था आपका सेंटेंस स्ट्रक्चर, सब्जेक्ट प्लस ट्रांजिटिव वर्ब प्लस इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट प्लस डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. इसको आप इस तरह से चेंज कर सकते हैं, सब्जेक्ट प्लस ट्रांजिटिव वर्ब प्लस डायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट प्लस प्रीपोजिशन प्लस इनडायरेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. और हम कुछ इसके बाद हम देखते हैं. और सर्टेन वर्ब्स आर बोथ transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. That is to say, now there are some verbs which can be used both transitively and intransitively. For examples, he eats bread. Here eats is transitive verb. We eat to live. Here eat is intransitive verb because there is no object. Number two, she broke the cup. Broke is transitive because there is an object, the cup. Number two, the cup broke. Number three, he burnt his fingers. Burnt is transitive. Number three, here he burnt with envy. Number 4, a boy rang the doorbell. Rang is transitive verb because the doorbell follows it. Here the doorbell rang. Rang is here intransitive because there is no object. Similarly, number 5, the girl opened the door. Open is transitive verb. Number 5, the door opened. Here opened is used as intransitive verb. Number 6, the woodcutter fell the tree. Here number 6, the tree fell. The tree fell. Number 7, the driver stopped the bus. Stop is transitive because the bus follows it. And number 7 here, the bus stopped suddenly. The bus stopped suddenly. So stopped is here intransitive verb. So in these two sets of sentences, we see that one verb can be used both as an intransitive verb and a transitive verb. So overall, what did we see? We see that transitive verbs are those verbs which take object, and intransitive verb is that verb which does not take an object. Now there are some verbs which take two objects, and one of them is direct object and another is indirect object. Indirect object is that object which takes the use of preposition to and for before it, and direct and the direct objects are generally things, and indirect objects are generally persons. So this was all about transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. I hope you have got the lesson, today's lesson well. Thank you very much.